Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. Today's video is going to be kind of interesting, but before we get into it, I want to give a little bit of background. So, those of you who don't know this, before I made my YouTube channel, before I started making For Honor content, it was about the time of Marching Fire, but I was in love with the game, I love For Honor, and I wanted to find other people who loved it too. So I went to YouTube to find content creators who talked about the game and enjoyed it so I could hear their perspective on it. The problem was most content creators were not positive about the game. And to be fair, For Honor was not in a great place at the time, and they'd made a lot of questionable decisions about their future. So I won't say For Honor was in a great place, but I still loved it, and I was very disappointed to see that the vast majority of content creators just were not being positive about it, were not trying to put a positive or even fair spin on it. I felt like people were being needlessly hateful on this game, and that's part of the reason I made my YouTube channel, because I wanted to talk about the things I loved about the game. I loved the history around it, I loved the creativity of the fighting system, I loved the stories you could make out of it. I wanted to create a channel that tried to bring some positivity and enjoyment to the game. Now, I think that I succeeded in some areas, but as I've said before, there's some times where I struggle or doubt or think that my channel doesn't measure up to what I want it to be. And a lot of that is just, partly depression, partly just me being my own worst critic, part of me comparing myself to others, and I shouldn't do that. I absolutely know that. But a thought came to me some time ago. There are a lot of content creators out now that if I'd seen them back in the day when I was looking, I would have been very happy with the content creator situation in For Honor. I have been able to rub shoulders with and talk to and learn from and, just interact with a lot of really cool For Honor content creators. And if I haven't interacted with them, I've at least gotten to see enough of them to see that there are people who, even if they recognize problems with For Honor, the game, still are able to either come at it with fair or positive or even appreciative attitudes. And today what I wanted to do was talk about some of the For Honor content creators that I love the most. And I know that there are many of them out there, some who are super active, some who aren't as super active, but today I wanted to talk about the ones that I watch the most regularly or I have had some kind of interaction with. I wanted to share with you guys some of these content creators so that you guys can find them too and know that there are some content creators out there better than me who do absolutely fantastic work and you should be following. So let's not waste any time now. Let's get right into it, and we're going to start with an obvious one. Havok. Havok is by far my favorite content creator out of all of them. I thought about saving him for last because, you save the best for last, but I don't want to do that to Havok, because he and I have been really good friends for a while, which I can't say for many of the others in this list. Like, many of the others I've talked to and worked with, but Havok is a friend. Not only do I think he's just an honestly very chill guy and he's incredibly easy to watch and listen to, he's very fair. One of the biggest problems that I had with the For Honor content creator sphere early on, like I said, which is what led me to this channel, was that there were so few who were willing to give For Honor a fair chance. And there was a lot of negativity and frustrations with the game. But Havok is one of the first I found who really came off as easygoing but fair and positive about the game. He didn't come at it and just complain about everything. Yes, he was obviously pointing out where there were problems. He pointed out where there were issues, but he didn't just sit there and go, oh, dead game, I hate it. And I had to appreciate that because that was the first time I'd heard a content creator who didn't just jump to that in the game. I also want to thank him because I owe him for opening my eyes to how strong Warden could be. And I learned a great deal from his videos and duels on how to play Warden. Believe it or not, I used to think Warden was trash. You can go back to my older videos and see that I thought Warden was terrible. But after watching his videos and seeing how he plays Warden, my mind has completely changed. I think he's awesome. I don't think he's naturally the strongest Vanguard, but I have learned that if you play him right, he can be a menace. So there is that. I've also had the honor of getting to know Havok as a friend, like I said. We've played games together outside of just For Honor, and hearing him say he enjoys my work was one of the highest honors I've ever received in my YouTube career. So if you're not watching Havok, you need to be. No joke, Havok is well worth watching. He's very enjoyable. He's gone through a tough time lately, guys, with the loss of his mother, so you know what? Don't just go see him because you want to watch good For Honor content. Go see him to support this guy. He deserves it. And just, keep praying for him. Keep praying for him as he goes through this tough time. But he is someone you really need to watch. I highly recommend him. Jondaliner. Now, John and I aren't best friends, but I have interacted with him a few times, and I have a great deal of respect for the guy. He's a top-tier player for one thing, and his Lawbringer play is on point, okay? Do y'all remember the days when Lawbringer sucked? John remembers, and yet he made that work for him. One of my favorite videos I saw him do was this video of him in brawls using Lawbringer's long arm to outplay a scripter. And this was before Lawbringer was good again. You know, this was back when Lawbringer was crap. They hadn't made Lawbringer great again, and yet Jondaliner, he made it work. He handled the situation so well and with such finesse that honestly it made me want to watch more of him. Now he does stream mostly on Twitch, and I'm just not on Twitch that much. But I drop by now and then to lurk and observe, and he's just such a down-to-earth and fun guy to watch. He doesn't take games too seriously, and you get the feeling that whatever he plays, he's going to give you reasons to enjoy it, if for no other reason than he's the one hosting. I know he's been having some battles in terms of his career and having a family to care for, but honestly, I think he's a blessed man, I would say, and I just love watching his stuff when I can, and, you know, when I'm on Twitch, but like I said, I'm just not on there all that much, so every now and then when I get a notification that John's on, if I've got the time and the ability, I drop by and lurk a little bit. So, hey, go check him out on Twitch. I think you'll enjoy what you see. Wexra. Now, I'd be lying if I said I watched Wexra a lot. Again, I'm rarely on Twitch, and Wexra almost exclusively streams there. But I do visit her streams every now and then. I think what I find so cool about her is the interaction. Some streamers either completely ignore their community overall, or some focus so much on their community that they forget to play the game itself. Most streamers, the good ones anyway, find a balance there. And that's where I've tried to be, but Wexra, I think, found a great balance. I once popped in on her stream just to say hello and congratulate her on getting a new controller, and to my surprise, she took the time to respond. I don't even know if she knew who I was or if it mattered to her. She treated any of her people in chat with the same energy and attention she did me, and I didn't feel like I wasn't included. Also, I will say this, her Peacekeeper play is kind of on point, I would say. As someone who absolutely sucks with PK, watching her play makes me want to try and improve, and I've been trying. If you've noticed some of my videos, I've been trying to play PK more. Sort of, kind of. I need more practice. But she's kind of an inspiration in that regard, so if you haven't checked out Wexra, she's kind of an underrated content creator. Go check her out on Twitch. Like I said, I'm just not on Twitch that often, so I'm sure I've missed a lot of her streams, but go check her out anyway. She's very entertaining, and she streams a lot, so check it out. Raptor X. Now, there are some content creators that have fewer subs than I do, and yet their fame spreads so far that I always assume they have more. For a while in my streams, I've heard some of my community members ask if I had heard of Raptor X, and I had not, so I looked into him. And I discovered that, in fact, I'd watched him before but didn't realize it. I initially discovered him through his Armor Stereotypes videos, which were honestly pretty funny and entertaining. Although he did tell me in one stream when I told him about that, he said, man, I was never fully proud of those. I didn't think that those would get popular. You know? Hey, I can relate to that. I can understand that sentiment. But he's grown a fair bit since then, and his videos are honestly really good. It's a marvel to me that he has fewer subs than me, but I doubt that will last long. I'm sure he will surpass me. In no time, we'll see that change. He's got a great presence to him. He's fun to watch, and he's pretty amiable. I'll never forget, during a Warrior's Den, the most recent one I think, he dropped in and asked for help on making his own thumbnail for a stream. Now maybe that's the only reason he came by, but he didn't make it feel that way. He dropped in, said hi to the community, and then dipped when it was time for him to start his own stream, and then said, hey man, we gotta game sometime. And I agree, we do need to. He has a growing community. There's no question in my eyes as to why. The guy is an excellent content creator. He definitely deserves more attention than he gets. He deserves to have surpassed me, guys. With the amount of times my community has talked about him and told me about how fun he is and how enjoyable he is, you know, you need to go join his community. Get this guy past me. He deserves to be. Get him past me, guys. General Fujikiyo. You know, for a time people called me the history and story guy in For Honor. Well, I'm proud to say I'm not the only history guy. I thought I was the only person active on YouTube who talked about the history aspect of For Honor. Fuji Kio proved me wrong. Believe it or not, General Fuji Kio reached out to me first. He is a smaller YouTuber, but his community and reach is growing. Good, I want that to happen, and his videos are honestly great. While he loves history, he focuses primarily on the samurai, which I have no problem with, since that's an area of history that deserves careful attention and passion. I've collabed with him on a few projects and hope to do more in the future. I really do. I also really hope he gets more viewers and subs because he's, again, very underrated. In fact, General Fujikiyo is probably one of the few people in the For Honor content creator community that I might call the prophet of For Honor, because he's accurately guessed quite a few new heroes and the ideas and updates that For Honor has done with impeccable accuracy. No, true story. General Fujikiyo, if you're watching this, I got a little secret to tell you. Havoc reached out to me on Discord one time to share your video saying, this guy's smart, because we had gotten, because we saw your guess about, I think it was the Sohei guess. I think you were making guess that it was Sohei, or, you know, Benkei. And Havoc said, dude, this guy's on point. And I knew you at this point. I knew Fuji Kio, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know him. He's a smart cookie. He knows what he's doing. And I'm proud to call him a friend. The only downside is because he lives in Australia and I live in America, our time zones are so different that if he sends me a message in the middle of the night, I'm probably asleep. I don't get to it till the next day. And when I message him back, he's asleep, you know? That sucks. But we do need to do more collabs together. And if you haven't checked him out, go check him out. Give him some love, because he does history just very well, especially on the Samurai. And we've collabed together in the past. I want to do more collabs in the future. Go check out General Fuji Kio. Check out the General. Abreak Nrun. Do you remember how I said that there are some content creators who deserve more attention than me, like Fuji Kio or Raptor X? Abreak Nrun is definitely another one of those. He streams regularly and he's super amiable and friendly with his community. But more than this, he's a man with a very cool ambition. Break wants to try and unite the For Honor content creators into a sort of community. He works very hard to reach out to other content creators and encourage collabs, discourse, inclusion, projects, ideas. He has rubbed shoulders with lots of large creators, and through him, I've met some of the other big names on this list. It's nothing short of a crime that he doesn't have more subs than he does, and I want to take this moment to actually apologize to him directly. One thing that he's constantly tried to encourage me to do is come out of my shell more and interact more with the content creator community. But anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge introvert, and I'm terrified to be super interactive with people who I look up to. I'm always scared that I'll come off like a loser. Like, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like, if you've ever seen something like this happen where a big fan meets their celebrity and the celebrity goes like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And that loser goes, eee! Like, just like lose their shit. Like, they come off as really awkward and cringy. I'm always scared I'll be that guy. You know? I'm always scared that they're going to look at me and go, oh, I've never heard of your channel before, but I've heard of yours, you know? I'm always scared that that's how I'll come off as some loser. But in all honesty, Break is very insistent and very good about keeping me accountable as to not be a stranger. He shows up in my streams quite a lot, and if I ever drop into his streams, I do try to speak up to say, hey man, I'm here. Although I admit I don't drop in nearly as much as I probably could. I need to do better about that, truly. And I also want to thank him. Break is always offering to help me when we get early access to anything. It even helps me get footage. And he doesn't just extend this to me. He does it for all content creators. He tries to say, hey guys, like if early access is given, he's like, hey guys, do you want to get together and do some clip farming? Do y'all want to get together and do some matches? Like, who's willing to get together with us? Like, he tries to get us all together. And I feel bad because so many of us content creators are introverted. You know, we are scared to come out of our little zones, of our little hidey holes, but he's trying his hardest, and God bless him for doing that. Break is probably the one who would win the award for the most devoted content creator of all time, not just because of what he makes for the game, but for what he does for the community. And I think that in a sense is even better than what the rest of us do. We're here making For Honor content, which is great. He's trying to make us into something better than that, which, hey, you know what? God bless him for it. Marco Yolo. Okay, if you don't know this guy for his content, then you really, really need to. I was a fan of Marco Yolo stuff for a long time. His editing skills are great, his comedy is on point, and his delivery is a great combination of dry and witty, but informative and easy to understand. I'll never forget actually meeting him for the first time during the Theater of Bones event. When I got to play with him, I was stunned to learn he actually knew of me, and I was deeply honored. Now, he didn't say he was like a big fan of anything, but he's like, I know Raven, you know, and I was like, you know me. Yeah, I turned into that loser I was just talking about. I'm sure I came off as a total fanboy or geek or something, and I made myself look like an idiot, but he was nice enough not to mock me for it. And while he doesn't release as regularly, and he also doesn't just make content for Honor, I can relate to that, his content creation abilities are well worth following and watching for the entertainment value, if for no other reason. So definitely go check this guy out. He's very worth watching. He's very funny. Probably one of those content creators that when they release, because they release so seldomly, when they do release, it's a gem. You know, that's awesome. You just got to check him out. King Misty. All right, so funny story and kind of embarrassing. Okay, but it is true. I used to fall asleep listening to King Misty videos. Not because he's boring, okay? He's just so chill. His voice is relaxing. and it's kind of easy to fall asleep to. The dude is the definition of calm. As a result, though, I have no idea if he's any good at the game or not. Is he good at the game? Nah, just kidding. Nah, I know the dude's honestly really skilled. There's an old piece of advice that goes, never lose your cool or appear angry in an argument or fight because it will communicate that you're losing the confrontation. King Misty's demeanor is a perfect example of that. In every video where he fights a toxic player or a salty enemy, his relaxed and even nonchalant approach always comes from behind, always feels like he's just in complete control of the situation. He's not undone or frustrated, and thus when he comes from behind and pulls a victory, you can't help but kind of laugh and pump a fist, if I'm not snoozing by that point. I don't mean that in a bad way. Seriously, I don't. Next time you feel like you need to relax a bit, put on a King Misty video. People tell me all the time that I have a relaxing voice, and maybe I do. I'm my own worst critic, so I don't hear it. But King Misty definitely does. He's very worth watching. In my opinion, he's one of the kings of duels out there. He's very skilled. He does a very good job in every match that I've ever watched him in. And again, it's soothing to listen to. It's just kind of fun, you know? That's the best I can say. I like King Misty's work. Nova King. If Havoc is the Warden main of For Honor, then Nova King is the Orochi main. Much like the Punisher Warden is infamous to the For Honor community and a staple of Havoc's presence, the dark Orochi that Nova King is famous for, running around with the Apollyon mask effect, is one that everyone recognizes. In fact, one time I'll never forget, I was in a stream, right? And we were up against an Orochi who had that exact same build, and someone said, wait, is that Nova King? Are you up against Nova King? And I had to point out, no, probably not. And no, I knew I wasn't because I beat that Orochi. If it was Nova King, that would not have happened. Of course, he doesn't just play Orochi. I've seen him try his hand at various different characters, but no matter what character he runs, he's very skilled and a patient player. That's something that I found interesting. I see a lot of content creators or players, especially ones who play Orochi, who seem like they are high on some kind of drug because they are speedy. They just run around rapidly. I can practically hear their fingers breaking on the control as they hit it. He's very patient. I don't always feel like he's rushing anything. Like, he can take his time, which is interesting. He has a tendency to do what I do and lock in, making some of his fights seem more quiet than others, and that's not a bad thing. I myself go into my Raven space when I fight. The difference is that it doesn't really help me play any better, but for Nova, it seems to be quite effective. I also think he's a bit of an underrated anti-ganker. When people talk about anti-ganks, they tend to reference Faram, and rightly so, but I've watched Nova pull off some god-tier 1v3s and 4s. Like, he's pretty good in the anti-gank, even with characters that I wouldn't expect. Now, for the real embarrassing part, full disclosure, I used to get Nova and Misty confused. I'd play one of their videos at random and then suddenly go, wait, why is Misty British all of a sudden? I think it's because they both have King in their names, and sometimes I'll just go, oh, look, that's a King Misty video. Wait, no, that's Nova. Oh, I'm sorry. And so it becomes kind of funny. But they're both very distinct creators. Nova's very fun to watch and listen to. Definitely go check them out. VitaNeon. I don't know if he's still active regularly on For Honor. I haven't seen a new video from him in a while. But I did want to bring him up because he was one of the first content creators that I watched, even before I made my channel, who I just thought was just so entertaining. The meme machine himself, as many call him. For a long time, VitaNeon was the only content creator I watched besides Havoc, and because his montages and memes were so on point and so funny, believe it or not, he actually reached out to me at one point. No, it's true. VitaNeon actually reached out to me at one point. It was back when I was working on my Daubeny video, my big Daubeny video. I had announced that I was working on it. Vita contacted me offering to help me get Daubeny footage because at the time I only had a PlayStation 4 and any footage I got was on that and it just wasn't high quality. So he was saying, hey, tell you what, I will get you the footage because I love Daubeny. I've got a Daubeny build and I'd like to get you the footage. I was so stunned, I was worried there was some prank or joke coming, and I stupidly asked him why he'd want to do this, to which he said very wisely, do you normally ask people why they want to help you? I deserve that. He doesn't release much content anymore, which is why I wonder if he's still releasing it regularly, but, I mean, it's a real shame, but I stand by. He's one of the funniest content creators the community ever had. I hope he does make a comeback. I actually got to play with him one time. It was really fun. He's a very nice guy. He's a very chill guy, which, you know what? Hey, I like playing with chill people. It's one thing to play a game that's competitive with friends. It's another to play it with people who take it way too seriously. Even if they are your friends, you know. There are some people I just don't play games with because I know that they take it like it's a war of life or death, you know what I mean? ColdRoseZero. We'll wrap up with ColdRoseZero. Here's an underrated For Honor content creator that I think you may enjoy if you haven't found him yet. I admit that a lot of what I watch from him are his shorts, but his videos also tend to be entertaining, usually pertaining to him sharing funny, interesting, or just cringy moments in his For Honor matches, while also occasionally giving thoughts on characters, changes, or even unspoken rules in the games. Believe it or not, one of the legends I wrote was actually for him. The Gladiator Sylvana, if you guys remember that legend, is actually his Gladiator that he asked me to write a story for. And it was a fun project, and after that, he'd occasionally pop in on stream here and there. But other than that, though, I'd be lying if I said I was a regular attender of his channel outside of his shorts. However, in the most recent video I saw from him, he said that he'd been going through some tough stuff mentally, and my goodness, do I relate to that. So I wanted to shout him out here for sure, and encourage y'all to give him a watch and maybe add into your prayer list, and I'll definitely be giving him some more watches to give him that support, because I know what it's like to, just be frustrated with For Honor, frustrated with life, mental stuff getting you down, just a lot of stressors. I know that feel. I get it. I've been there. I know how that goes. So don't want him to feel like, he's not doing this for any good reason. He's got a lower subscriber count than I do, but he deserves way more. So go check him out, guys. Give him some love. And I think we'll wrap it up there. So those are the For Honor content creators that I watch the most of. Now, there are others out there that are pretty cool. I didn't include them on this list because I haven't watched enough about them to really talk much about them. But they do exist. And some of you are probably saying, oh, you didn't bring up Zany, you didn't bring up Faram, you didn't bring up... Again, the reason why is I just don't watch them nearly as much as I do others. But still, point stands. These are the individuals that I watch the most of, and they are the ones that I feel deserve the most attention from you guys. I wanted to share this because, I feel like people need to understand and respect the fact that these people exist, that they are making content, and it harkens back. Like I said at the very beginning, I started this channel because I wanted to be a voice of positivity and encouragement and fun in the YouTube content creator community. I wanted to bring love and enjoyment to this game. I was tired of all the negativity. And if I had known about all of these content creators back then, I might never have made my channel because I wouldn't have seen the need. Well, maybe I would have. Maybe I still would have made the channel. But the reason for making it would not have been there, because these guys really do bring a lot of fun, passion to the game. I know that it's a stressful game sometimes. God, I know it can be a stressful game sometimes, but I still love it. I still enjoy it, and I love the fact that I can make content for it. But now, it fills me up so much to know that there are other people out there that I can make it with, and people who enjoy the game just as much, if not more than I do, despite its flaws. It's not a perfect game, guys, but we still love it. So, there you go, guys. That's the end of the video. Wanted to share this with you guys. Oh, and I'll also go ahead and say, I want to do shout out ColdRoseZero a little, because this idea is based on a video that he did some time ago where he talked about some of his favorite content creators. I'm a little disappointed I wasn't featured in that, but hey, it's fine. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and go check out these content creators. I'll leave links to their channel in the description. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.